What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Parrot Press. We have made some big moves since the last couple of videos. Some big transfers in, especially for the size of my gallery. Changed strategy a little bit because before, as I was looking for a goalkeeper and a defender stack, that hasn't panned out, but I'll explain as to why we didn't follow that. And also, it was deciding the strategy between buying a European squad and playing for the next couple of months while the MLS is out, or invest in MLS players. But as you saw from the title of this video, I went ahead and I bought some really good some really good players for the next few months, and we're going to get into exactly where I left you. So as a few videos back, we got Bernabé in as a goalkeeper reward, and at the time I should have probably sold him for 0.8. Now I didn't sell him for 0.8, and I'll come at the end of the video where he's actually gone now, or where he's ended up. But since then, if I just scroll through here, we picked up some specialist limited players, if I can actually talk, but I ended up selling some of those that I picked up in previous weeks as well. So I gave it a good crack at specialist limited, and I do think that it's still such an underrated competition, and I do want to get back into playing it. But what I done before was, or what I said that I was going to do, was pick up 2 or 3 players of the people that I scouted, sell them closer to the deadline, use one of them, sell them later on, and then hopefully that kind of balances out in terms of ETH. Because if you buy a player, say at 0.1, and he goes over the 40 threshold or the 40 point scoring limit, and he goes to 41, all of a sudden he plummets in price. It's kind of week by week. You do need to really stay on top of that, and I kind of wasn't. I was just getting players in, putting the lineup in, and I was a bit lazy around it. But what I've decided to do was start selling some of those limiteds, especially those who are worth some value, and then get into players. So first player that we're going to talk about here is this guy, Moussa Tamari. So reasons why I got him in. The reasons why I started buying any European player, to be honest with you, from a rare standpoint, was because Blake and Elliott, my Philly stack, were in the playoffs, and they were going through. They went through the first round, second round, I think it is, or whatever it may be, and now they're in the final against LA. And I thought, well, why not pick up some guys that are relatively cheap that I can either move on and flip, or pick up a few more thresholds before the utility of Blake and Elliott goes away. And this is the guy that I stumbled upon. So he's my forward, and predominantly forwards cost a little bit more if you're after a decent one than midfielders, defenders, certainly not goalkeepers. And he's got some great AA. If we just go down and look at his scores here, in his L40 for a forward, his AA is 13.8, which is really good. Now, what he's struggling with is decisives, but what he does do is play 90 minutes. He plays in an okay side in OHL. He gets amazing AAs. I mean, look at the last 2 games, a 30 and a 28 AA. Now, this game against Ghent, I actually watched, and that he should have 100% got a decisive. Not that it was taken away in terms of setting somebody up and they missed a one-on-one. If he gets that decisive, you're looking at 90 plus, with the XP as well. So he's decisive away of a massive score, and the next few fixtures for them are pretty decent, especially the next 2 before we break for the World Cup and then come back around about Christmas time. These 2 here are decent for him, and if he can just rack up that AA and get a decisive, you kind of run to a winner. And I compared him against other players that are around that price point, and I don't really think there's many better, to be honest. Obviously, if you spend more money, you're going to get a better player that gets more decisives, fine, but maybe he's just coming into form now, and I picked him up for 0.2. He's already floor at 0.24 as well, so I think that he's a decent player. And then I was looking at a midfielder to sort of pair with him, and then come across Mertens as well. Now, this one hasn't worked out too well. he's contributed in order for me to get the higher thresholds. But if we look at his score here, I think I picked him up around about this 54 mark, and his last 4 games have been terrible. What can you say? You kind of win some, you lose some. I mean, his price probably inflated a bit because of these 4 scores here, but his last 4 scores have been terrible. And I spoke to a few people on Discord in the chat around this league, and he is a good option. He does play 90 minutes. He's their captain. He gets involved with most of their play through the middle, but he's just not here decisive. So I picked him up. I've already lost some money. If I was to sell him right now, I'll probably lose about 0.1. But pairing those two together, I mean, one plays as a right forward, as a right wing, one plays as a cam. All they need is a couple of goals and a few, getting involved with decisives, and they're on to some good scores, especially, as I said, with some good home fixtures coming up in the next 4. Then I wasn't planning on doing this, but I picked up Federico Rica, who plays for the same team as those guys. Now, what you're risking here, especially if you're an all-star and you're trying to get that threshold, is that if they have a really bad game and they all get like 25 points, you're struggling to even hit threshold, all right? So that's the risk that you take about having a stack together. But if they all play well together, decisives, clean sheets, etc., you could be onto a reward. So that's the risk reward that you've got. Now, I picked this guy up, I think it was at 0.7. He's a really good player, all right? I've watched a couple of their games now. He's a really good player, really prominent at the back. He's willing to get on the ball, as we can see here from his all-arounds. His last 2 games, a 30 and a 35. The one before that, or before the poor one here, a 41. He is capable of really scoring quite high. All of these DMPs, that's because he played at Club Bruges and wasn't really getting on, hence why his picture has got the Club Bruges jersey on, or shirt. But he's a good player. I think he's an amazing super rare if you can pick him up. But I'm not playing super rare tournaments at the moment, competitions. So I picked up the rare, stacked them all together, and those were my first few pickups. So let's just go back through here. You can see here, picked up Tamari, picked up Mertens, and picked up Rika. Then I got a Stephen Kingsley. I got a reward in, which was nice. I mean, it's a 0.07 at the time. He's currently not going for much, but we'll touch upon him a little bit later. Sold another limited, sold another limited, sold another limited. So I got myself some decent amount of ETH back there. Picked up another limited to play one last specialist, which didn't work out. And then I sold the big limiteds that I had, which was Quincy Promise, Paul Anuacha, who done really, but they both amazing players, to be honest with you. They done really, really well for me. And a Verholst there. I probably made about 50 quid loss on him, actually, because they come into some really bad form, even though he had really good fixtures coming up. That was AZ. I think they're just starting to pick up now. But you'll see here, this is the first one that we're going to be talking about. Let me just close down some of these tabs. Is Small from FC Twente. Now this guy, let's look at his scores. That's madness. How is this guy 0.37 is what I got him for? Because if you compare him, all right, it's a different competition in terms of like Champion Europe, but to Trippier, to Grimaldi, well, not from Champion Europe, but Diego Dallo, you Grimaldi, some of the best left backs and full backs in the game, he scores right up there with them. However, he's almost half the price. Now, I'm not trying to pump him up and trying to say go and buy this guy or whatever, but if he can carry on with some of these scores, which he's been doing now since probably here, the 92, a 99, an 81, 100, an 84, 100, an 87, and 94, they are crazy results, and it is reflected in his L5, 15, and 40, but for that price I just think that it's fantastic, a fantastic addition to the gallery. Especially you look at his next 3 games. All right, the Sparta one might be a bit of a challenge, but go ahead, he should be getting 80 plus with another decisive hopefully, and the games that start kicking off in January as well. It's just Ajax in there that's sandwiched, that's a sort of a really tough one for them. But I am super happy picking this guy up. He takes some of their set pieces as well, and he's a really key player for them who just plays 90 minutes. Now, the only reason why he played 21 minutes down here is because he come off injured with a bit of blurred vision, but you can see that was quickly eradicated because he come in on the week after and scored a 94. So super happy with this pickup. Yeah, really happy. I think he's a great player, and I think that his price, he should be at least half an ETH in my opinion. But anyway, after that, let's have a look at what we've done. We then sold Geordie Classy. We sold Clinton and G. We sent Gadoo. We picked up. We sold Trimmel, and then we've got Brooks Lennon. So close down that tab. Brooks Lennon. I picked him up because I think Atlanta are going to be very good next year. I think that they're going to have some additions come in, potentially, as I said, that Sean Johnson. Again, that's just me thinking. I've heard nothing, no transfer rumours, nothing. But potentially that could happen. Shores them up at the back a little bit more. And when he plays, he's been playing all over the place. Right back, centre, forward, right mid. I think he had a few games at left back earlier on in the season as well. But when he plays, he's an all-rounder player. He's very decent. You can see here some nice scores, the 90s, 81s and 85s, etc. And I picked him up for 0.08. And then what the plan was to actually hold on to him, sell him in that January window, January-February slot where MLS players are going to start to go up and then hopefully almost double. That didn't happen. I ended up selling him, and I'll come on to that later. I then picked up Anton Tinholm, a Swedish guy who's been out playing in New York for a long time. He had a really bad injury, but he just started to come back at the end of the year. Reason why I picked this guy up is because he confirmed that he's leaving New York City, and we don't know where he's going to go. He could be going back to Sweden, or he could go to another European team. But I just thought I'd pick him up. I paid 0.03. It's just an investment, probably overpaid because there was a little bit of hype and I jumped on it a bit too quick. But he's just going to be sitting in the gallery. Now let's just go back here. So Brooks Lennon, Tinholm, which you said, and then this is the big one where I got some ETH in to do some stuff in the transfer market. It's Alan Velasco. So I was in two minds whether to sell this guy or whether to keep him. But where I've already picked up the European guys, I thought to myself, well, why not make that as strong as possible for the next couple of months, and players that may not dip when I come to sell them. So I sold Velasco. He went on auction and sold for a decent amount, but you can see, and I sold him, I think it was actually exactly the same as the auction price. I contacted the guy who's a bit of a wow when he's swallowing up some of these players at the moment. But I thought, let's get him out. I think he's overpriced. You know, if you consider him being 0.7, yes, I know he's a forward. Forwards are few and far to come by in the MLS. But I do think that he's overpriced, especially when I picked up the next guy that I'm going to talk about for half the price, so I can pocket some of this ETH. I think he's overpriced because of his age. He's under 23. He's got a lot more, a lot of years, should I say, left playing at the under 23. And obviously, when it comes into the summer, people want to get involved with under 23, and they are few and far between to pick up some of these really good players. So Dallas, people might want to pick up Velasco and Ferreira as a combo for under 23, but I just think he's underpriced. I think overpriced, should I say. I think he's a great player, and hopefully he doesn't smash it next year and yeah, put egg all over my face. But anyway, sold him. He's out the door. This is the guy I picked up. Half the price. Buanga. Now, he's still got one game left for LA. He's going to be a key member of their squad next year. playing centre forward or playing just off on the left-hand side. LA, we know that they invest. They've got some quality. They've got people like Vela. They've got Bale. They've got Chiellini, although Bale don't even really play. I've got Arango, I think it is up top as well. They've got quality all over the park. And you can see here from his first, 7, 8 games, he's done okay. Decent AAs in some of the games, picked up some goals as well. But I think he has definitely got some quality. He passes the eye test, and I think that he's going to be key for them next year. So picking the forward card up, be careful if you are buying this guy. There's midfielder and forwards, but picking the forward card up and then pocketing myself something like 0.4 ETH was a bit of a no-brainer for me for Velasco. So let's go back to the transfer history. So I sold Velasco, picked Buanga up at 0.34, pocketed quite a bit of Heath there, sold some more limiteds, and then picked up the next guy we're going to be talking about. You can see there, he's Maxim De Cuyper, if I've said that right. Again, this guy is crazy. Like, look at his scores. An 82, 100, an 88, another 96. All right, you've got some pretty poor scores here, the 16 to 31. But I picked this guy up for 0.3. I didn't even think the offer was going to get accepted. I just put in a lowball offer and see whether it was accepted or not. But I saw some of the highlights as well. This guy he's a bit of a baller going forward from left back. He's on loan, I believe, from Club Brugge. So if he goes back to Club Brugge and gets that starting lineup, I think that he's price rockets as well. And plays for an all right side, not bad, mid-table. But I think he's a bit of an animal going forward, to be quite honest. And I think he's really, really decisive, capable, as we can see here. Goals and assists in the same game, couple of assists in the same game, couple of goals in the same game. He's got really good AA as well. So obviously, once he hits a decisive, he rockets up. Really, really good player. Now, he does have a midfielder and a defender card in the game. Now, I've picked up the midfielder one because I wanted him to replace Mertens, and picking him up at that price for the new season card, I think it was a bit of a no-brainer. But his defender card would be really, really good as well, because he gets the 10 points if they get the clean sheet. Obviously, different metrics and matrices that they get scored upon, and I think that he does go up in terms of some of these scores. However, I'm happy if he's hitting 180s and in the 90s as a midfielder card. I'll take it all day long. Really, 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 really good player. So I picked him up, and then I went and sold Schmidt, and we're going to talk about Schmidt later on. Went and sold his limited card. That's you can see there that I've sold the Brooks Lennon card, and then I picked up this guy for 0.365. Daniel Munoz. Now again, look at this guy. Look at his scores. Madness. For that price. I mean, he plays for the best side in the Belgium League, for Genk. He starts every single game. He plays pretty much 90 minutes, unless, as you can see here, that 66, well, they won the game, brought him off, rested him. Apart from that, 90s all around. He's clearly involved with the play going forward. They've got some great fixtures coming up. No-brainer for me. No-brainer. Get him in that defensive lineup alongside Small as well, and he is capable of really, really spiking. Great player. So happy with that pickup. And I also think that he's underpriced. I think that he's going to be more come January, February time, as people start to buy back in, because I think a lot of people at the moment are selling their cards because of the World Cup, because there's no utility. Get all that ETH back into your account and then reassess is to where you are. But I think people are going to start looking at him, especially if he keeps some of these scores up and his L40s and his L15s just rise. He's definitely going to be on the list for a few people. After that, let's have a look at what happened. So I picked him up, and then this is the one. This is from today, and then we're up to date. Okay, I made a trade, and I got in a new goalkeeper. So let's talk about him first before I show you the trade, because trade's not fantastic, but yeah, you can make your mind up there. So I bought in Daniel Schmidt. See him a few times this year when I picked up his limited. I watched a few of his games. He's a very, very solid goalkeeper. He's got 2 really good fixtures coming up before the World Cup break. It says here that he's got Germany, Costa Rica and Spain, but he's not going to be playing for Japan. He's not their number one. So he's probably going to be bench warming. hopefully he gets the number one. If he does, that's fantastic in terms of price. I'll probably have to think about, if he spikes in price, actually selling him and getting somebody else in. But even when he comes back in December, great fixture there, decent fixtures all the way up to probably Club Brugge and then Ghent. But if he gets a clean sheet in one of these games, AA is going to be high as well, so he could smash it. But I do think that looking at his scores here, he's very capable of clean sheets. He's capable of good AAs. He's a good goalkeeper, apart from the last game out. But that's conceding 2 goals. I think that was from De Cuyper, I spoke about earlier, from left back. Absolute animal. Yeah, I think he's a good goalkeeper, and I picked him up for a similar price to that Bernabei reward that I got, because I needed somebody to come in. Now, my last video I spoke about getting a goalkeeper in a defender stack. Obviously, I haven't done that, but what I have done is I've picked up one of the goalkeepers I spoke about, and I've picked up one of the defenders that I spoke about. But if I was to pick up Munoz, I'd need to deposit, because I've got nothing now, no ETH until I sell players. I think I've got like £13 in there. So picking up Munoz on top of Schmidt, so not on top of him, but what's the difference? It'd probably be about a 0.55 difference. I haven't got half an ETH sitting there, and I don't really want to be depositing more money yet as well. I'm happy. I want to grow the gallery as it is with the funds that I've already put in. So he was out of the question. And then Bernabei as well, I could have just kept him because he plays throughout the World Cup, even though I haven't got a squad together. But coming back in December, he doesn't have a game the week where the other players that I do have, and I shouldn't be planning just for one game week. I do know that, but he hasn't got a game week this week as well. Sorry, the following week he's got a game this week, but the following week he hasn't got one. So the players that I've bought, I'll just be trying to get a 4-man team threshold rather than pushing for a reward. And I think that Schmidt can hit the 80s and higher 70s, especially with the upcoming games that he's got. So he was around the price point that basically I could afford. I looked at some other Belgium league goalkeepers, but I don't know. Again, I'd need more ETH, and I just didn't have it. And I think that Schmidt is really good. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm talking as though I didn't want him. I did. He was on the watch list. He was there, and I was keeping an eye on him. And I do think that he could get back to some decent. Whilst this catches up, that's not the one that I wanted. I wanted the price graph. Some decent price. Let's just go back to 6 months here. And you'll see here that he does hit that sort of 0.9 ETH. I think he even probably got up to an ETH nearly, there or thereabouts, in previous months. So if he can get back up there. But anyway, let me show you the deal that I've done. So let's close him down. This is the deal that I've done. I sacrificed 2 other players. Brandon Bayer, who probably increases again come January, February, when people are looking at the MLS. Stephen Kingsley, these are both rewards, by the way, so I'm not really bothered too much by them. And then Bernabei as well. So Ethan average is now 0.8. Ethan averages for Schmidt is 0.75. So the guy got a little bit extra at me if he was to sell them now for what they're kind of worth. Even Ethan floors, it's even a bigger distance. But I do think that come January, this will be well worth an ETH or more, and Schmidt might stay around about 0.8. But as I said, I wanted him in now and see what I can get in the next few weeks, and then make a decision later on or early next year. Now, what does the side looks like coming into this week? Now, can I just say, right, so this is the team that I've put together. I could have put these in Challenger and then threw together, because I have got a 5-man team with the 3 American boys, with Philly and LA, and then Mertens and Ricker as well, that I could have put together. I could have put them in All-Star, grinded threshold, put these guys in Challenger, and see where I ended up, and putting 2 lineups out. But I wanted to put these in All-Star, so I think that they've got a shot of getting something and doing something. If we look at the last week, I would have got a tier 2 if I would have put this team out. But if I would have put Bernabei out at that time, because obviously he had a game, I would have come 4th in All-Star. Now, that's big, right? I think I would have got the Lazio goalkeeper, who's about 26, for about 1.7 ETH. And if you look at what my gallery's worth at the moment, that's a big chunk. That's a big percentage increase. I could have either kept him, sold him, reinvested, etc. That's the kind of plan. But this team, I think they're really capable. They've all got decent fixtures where they can score. Some of them are at home as well, which is even better, especially like the big boys with Small and Munoz as well. So I'm excited for this game week, excited for next game week before the World Cup break. Who knows what Sorare's got coming there, because I know there's another competition that's coming, but full details hasn't been released yet. I think it's on the 10th that they're releasing that. So we've got to wait until next week. But guys, if you like this video, hit that like button. If you want to see some more, hit that subscribe button. Good luck this game week. Good luck in the next few weeks as well before the World Cup. And I will see you in the future.